Partnered by Times Influence.
Hello and welcome to yet another engaging episode of India's finest workplaces with me, Samriti Grover. This week we get you a dominant player in the financial services sector, a brand that has made a mark for itself in the last 2 decades and is the largest Singapore bank in the country. I'm talking about none other than DBS. With over 280 branches across 18 markets, DBS Bank is a brand to reckon with. Headquartered and listed in Singapore, the bank's credit ratings is among the highest in the world. DBS was the first Singapore bank to set up a representative office in India in 1994, upgrading it to a formal bank branch a year later. With an employee base of about 1,850 people in India, let's take a closer look at what makes DBS one of the finest places to work in. It takes a truly bright idea to gain more than 1 million customers in a year. Yet DBS Bank has managed to do just that with DigiBank, a paperless, signatureless and branchless retail bank. And what makes it that young and innovative is its workforce and the kind of impetus they get from the organization. An agile setup with activity-based workspaces and social zones, DBS offices are designed to facilitate greater interaction and ideation amongst employees. Though its Mumbai and Hyderabad offices are known for its out-of-the-box designs, the vibe at the Mumbai office truly reflects the organization's emphasis on embedding a startup culture.
I like DBS because of its open culture.
DBS is my first job and the transition to DBS has been very smooth thanks to the startup-like culture we have here.
Working here in this team, I feel you're cared more as a human being first rather than, always being asked about your targets.
The work culture is quite unique here. It's a very fast-paced, dynamic and a learning-centered work culture.
I'm now joined by the CEO of DBS Bank India, Surajit Shah. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Great to be on the show. Yeah.
So let me begin by, asking you, DBS is known for its workplaces and work culture, and DBS has also been recognized as the best digital bank by Euromoney. How has this transformational journey been?
So maybe I should go back a little bit. DBS has been in India for about 20 years now.
Yeah.
And I would say the first part of the journey was essentially that of being a corporate and investment bank. It's only in the last 10 years since DBS got incremental licenses, opened new branches, that we started our journey to go from being an essentially wholesale bank to a consumer and now an SME bank. So I would say we are into our third chapter in India, where in the last 2 years we have launched the first digital-only bank, first time in India, and on the back of that, the other work that we did in the other markets, DBS was recognized by Euromoney as the best digital bank in the world. The first time an Asian bank won that award.
So, that's one side of the story, which is the operations side. Yeah. There's another side to the story, which is about, getting into maybe building an expertise in futuristic models of workplaces and work cultures. How has that transformation been, and why did you think of doing that?
Yeah. So I think, again, you have to see the transformation in the workplace in the context of the overall transformation. And as we keep repeating often enough, is that our industry is going through massive disruption. And we believe that the entire paradigm of our industry is changing, and we need to adapt to that change. And in fact, as DBS, we are trying to take advantage of that change. So while on one side there is a lot of change in the way that technology is delivered, how banking services are being disaggregated, but the other part is how employees in the bank can participate and change an organization.
Does a happy workplace contribute, a lot to such success? Like you almost 1 million customers, and that's quite a feat to achieve.
So we are actually close to now 2 million customers,
wow, okay.
And that's all over an 18-19 month period. I think a workplace is a very important ingredient in making people think out of the box. And our industry effectively needs to experiment very quickly to be able to, make those changes that are required.
So, as I was going through your office here, there are a lot of activity-based special zones. There are sleeping pods. There are the Xbox zones. So, what is your favorite area? First, tell me.
There are many interesting places there. On one of our floors, we have a bicycle which has a dynamo attached with it,
right,
where you can bike and charge your phone. I think that's the coolest place, and Hyderabad also has that, and we have that one. The other one is we have a very nice concept of a pod where 2 or 3 people can huddle into a meeting, and there's almost like a virtual meeting room. That's very nice. We designed this workplace almost with a different concept of formality versus informality. So the whole office is kind of graded by noise.
Also I believe what has really struck a chord with the employees is the whole sense of empowering the employees with responsibility and ownership, basically creating entrepreneurs, as you call it. So what do you think of that concept, and can you give us a little or tell us a little about the DBS story of it?
Yeah, so the way we think about our employee journey is very closely linked with what we call our customer journey. Everything that we do in this digital world, what drives is the fact that customer decides. Very often you are not in front of your customer, so the customer's journey determines what happens to your product or your offering. And on the other side of that journey is an employee. And if the employee's journey is not equally joyful, the chances are the customer's joy is not going to happen because the employee is in a different space. So what we see is that we need to free the employee to be able to experiment, or what we call sandbox, and the freedom to make mistakes, freedom to try and do it very quickly. So the whole agile way of thinking, but also problem solving. I think that's what's been helpful for our employees.
And in terms of creating long-term value for your stakeholders in a sustainable way, how do you look at that by going beyond banking?
Yeah. So we partnered with very reputable institutions both in Singapore but also in India. We partnered with the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, where we worked for several years and continue to do so, where we worked with budding social entrepreneurs. We helped them through their course curriculum, but also helped them to set up their business, gave them scholarships to, and then we took those stories, the successful stories, and shared that with our customers.
So you're already treading the path of futuristic workplaces and futuristic work cultures. How does the DBS story look like, let's say, in 2030?
So I think if you cast your mind forward, I think our industry very clearly will be based on a few important tenets. I think the most important would be, I think a lot of the existing banks and financial institutions may not make this transition. Competition for us will come from outside the industry. So the bank of today or a financial institution of today may look very different than a bank of tomorrow in terms of its products, in terms of how it delivers. So I think our organization needs to be plastic enough to be able to make that transition. And I see the bank or DBS of 2030 being able to really move quickly with the customer's needs, use technology, and use the spirit and the energy of our employees to deliver for them.
For an employee, of course, there is monetary recognition that he anyways gets, but also the rewards and recognitions that are specifically given by the senior management. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about your rewards and recognition program at the organization?
So we have several rewards and recognition, but the one which I really like is where people get a specific number of points through the year. We call it ITQ, where you can reward almost instantaneously on your mobile phone anybody who you thought contributed that day or that moment to the journey that you're doing. And that's probably the one which has created the most amount of buzz, because you send it to anybody in the organization. These points come in small, can come in 100 points for an award. People can accumulate them, then they can get some goodies or something in return for them. But the real recognition is that it is shared with your supervisor, but also your colleague.
Well, it's now time that we actually speak to your employees and ask them what really makes DBS one of India's finest places to work in.
Thank you very much.
Let's have a look.
Thank you.
So the awards and recognitions are something that always keeps motivating, whichever way you put it. But what actually differentiates DBS from anywhere else is that the small awards or the acknowledgement from the senior management, that is the differentiator in DBS Bank, which is not there in other organizations, which really works very well for me.
We have a very open, we don't have the cubicle concept, it's very open. It increases the transparency between the higher level, and we are the management, senior leaders are approachable. We can put our concern, we can ask them for anything, we can fall back on basically on them for our problems, and if you want to suggest some new ideas, some innovative ideas, they're very open to hear to us, and we can directly go to them and discuss with them, and if they like it, they will definitely take it to the next step.
In terms of opportunities also, one of the best places to start your career, to grow your career, because the way we experiment with things, the platform we get, the risk factor we get, it's outstanding.
This is an innovative idea applied to this company, so you can see that this is a cycling area where you can come and you can work on this place. So it is a stress buster for me. I can do work and work out at the same time.
Time for a quick break, but when we return, we take you on a tour to DBS's technology hub in Hyderabad. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching India's finest workplaces with me, Samriti Grover. And we find out what makes DBS one of the finest places to work in. In May 2016, DBS opened the DBS Asia 2 hub in Hyderabad, the bank's technology development center outside its core tech hub in Singapore. DBS Asia Hub 2 fosters the bank's digital journey where technology leads the show. DBS Asia Hub 2, located at Wave Rock, Hyderabad, has become a techies retreat in little time. The place never fails to amaze anyone by giving its employees a plethora of options to choose from, with a push given to an open culture of working and building a people-centric organization. From sleeping pods to amazing hangout cafes to the Xbox relaxation zones, every corner has been designed to ensure creative free thinking, collaboration and engineering excellence. Another thought-provoking zone at the DBS Asia Hub 2 is the Digital Garage, which is home to ideas, workshops and innovation. I'm now joined by the man who's at the helm of technology of DBS Asia Hub 2, where we are sitting right now. Thank you so much, Mohit, for joining us on this show. So, let me begin by asking you, DBS Asia Hub 2 was, actually founded or was opened up in 2016. Take us through this futuristic workplace.
You've seen how the trends in technology are changing, and increasingly banking is also getting disrupted. So, in the original sense, many years ago, 10 years ago, banks would compete with banks on things like interest rate, on how customer service and how quickly can you open an account, service account. But now the disruption comes from companies like Paytm or WeChat, and I've heard Facebook is going into
a technology business actually.
Yeah. So soon banking is all about technology, if not already, and hence DBS decided a couple of years ago that we need to own up our own journey. We need to own up our own customer journey. And that's how in 2016, early 2016, we decided to set up this center in Hyderabad. And we wanted to set it up in a very different way, which is very evident by as you walk around here. We call this as activity-based working center. So it changes the whole paradigm. It takes away the angle of my seat, my team, and my chair.
My area.
Right, my area. So it becomes, it brings in boundaryless thinking and collaboration between teams. We've also kept it very boundaryless, so you will not see any signs which says this is the payment team, or this is the consumer team, or this is the commercial team, right? So it could be true that you may sit in the first half of a day somewhere with your team, but in the evening you're sitting with your squad or your tribe, where you're trying to solve something of the future.
So if I had to ask you, what are the modern hiring techniques that you're using to actually, find the right match? Of the employee that can fit into your company ethos and the way the company's culture is?
Culture fit, in my view, is the most important. It's the most difficult to crack. And I do surely believe that in a 1-hour interview or a 2-hour interview, you cannot judge people for their character or their culture fit. I think interviews overrated in my view, and hence we've used that knowledge a bit and tried with hiring in different ways. So in the last year, we've hired around 120 to 150 people by using hackathons, right? And a hackathon is that we post an online test and crowdsource it, which means that every aspirant, in India, which is already working or maybe is even studying, can come and crack a code online. And then if they crack that test, then we invite them for a full day hackathon here at DH2. And then we pair them up with different people randomly where they don't know the people. That's what happens in real life, right? That way of hiring has worked very well. We've extended that even further to take it to a campus. If you look at old campus methods, you and I have been a part of that, and we had a wonderful response. We had 10,000 students, applying for the job,
right.
And around 200 students or 220, I think, actually came in for a full day hackathon in September. And the wonderful part was that out of 220, 100 were women, which also is a pet topic, in my mind, that we focus on diversity and have more women at the workflows.
You spoke about the open culture and interaction. That is how the culture of the company is. Is that also a very strong pillar if an employee wants to directly connect with, the senior management or talk to you?
We're trying to address it by design. Sometimes, while we don't want to be like that, but sometimes employees may perceive that a manager or a leader, including me, are not accessible, etc. So we're doing it by design, by not making any office in the workspace. So to that extent, we kept the company very flat, so that we don't have many levels between me and the 2-level down developer. There's only 1 or 2 managers in between, and everybody can contribute and should contribute.
Well, hold that thought, Mohit, because I'm going to speak to a few of your employees and they're going to talk about what makes DBS one of the finest workplaces.
Absolutely.
To really, work in.
Proof of the pudding is, actually going speaking to them. Coming from them, it'll be a lot better.
Sure.
And how do they perceive this to be good?
So let's have a look at that first.
Sure.
The best thing I like about DBS is the workplace. It's pretty much a wow factor as compared to any other bank which has the regular cubicles and your desk. We here have a free space. That's what I personally like about it.
The learning-centered work culture is the most interesting aspect because as women especially, we have so many opportunities to represent the organization in the industry forums. Like we had the opportunity to attend NASCOM sessions, which has been a great opportunity. So that is inbuilt and ingrained in the culture. So we have this learning element always in the culture.
When we work sometimes it happens that we work for long hours. So when we get probably tired or something, so what we do is we have a vibe area. So we just go there, put down our laptops and we just work the way we want.
DBS Bank India has been a fabulous journey for me since the time I've been associated with this bank. The policies with the bank are so employee friendly and so motivating that you get motivated every day to work for this bank. Some of the policies are not limited only to the employee, but it is extended beyond the employee to the families also.
Well, if I have to talk about myself, as a typical example, I have moved across different roles within DBS. So one is that when I moved into the organization, I joined in a totally different vertical. And after that, I have got another mobility change. That helps me to expand my horizon of the entire finance gamut.
Well, Mohit, we're now in another cool corner of the office, which is apparently, I believe, the Mumbai wing at the center. Yeah. And we have some sort of a lookalike local train, which actually resembles, I think, a bullet train now. So, if I ask you about the culture of the organization, can you shed some light on that, wherein there is propelling of innovation and there is that startup culture that is also given a boost to?
Piyush, who's our Group CEO, who's based in Singapore, talks about DBS being a 23,000 people startup, right? Which kind of sometimes a paradox that can you have 23,000 people working in a startup, but we want to do that. And DH2 is a manifestation of that, and a microcosm of the bank, where all parts of DBS Bank are here in terms of technology and different parts of the bank, and we want to implant the culture. If you were to ask my priorities, culture is the top priority for me, and we're trying to address it in many different ways. Let's say work with startups. So as you walk around, you would see startups here who are working with us, trying to solve a problem which DBS has. And that's one way. Another way we're trying to drive the culture is to work with colleges and institutions. Many times, Piyush, our CEO, talks about it, that we are in a WhatsApp moment where things will change dramatically with banking, and that's exactly what we're offering to people. That in these 3 years, or 4 years, or 5 years from now, you look back and say the best part of my career ever was when I was in DBS in Hyderabad.
Well, I hope every employee at DBS thinks like that, and thank you so much, Mohit, for joining us on this special
Thanks for coming over and meeting us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Employees are core to DBS's culture, and it's important that the employees share their DBS pride with their loved ones very often. Unlike other organizations, DBS has not dedicated any one particular day to the family of their employees, but believing, motivating and helping their employees to bring their families any day to work. So, the Any Day Family policy by DBS is a new benchmark in India's corporate landscape and is a boon for employees, especially the women workforce.
I would like to specially mention about the fact that any day being a family day, since this has been started in DBS, it has been really exciting for all the employees. On days there are it's a long day, it's always good to have this facility wherein the kids can come, or other days also they are pretty excited about the fact that mom's office is so cool. So when I get up in the morning and I say that I'm going to the office, they are like, oh mama, this cool office that you're going to. So even they are excited, which brings me to work apart from many other things that brings me to DBS.
So I'm now joined by the culture heroes at DBS and at another very cool corner which is called Vibe, where actually the vibe is really peaceful and relaxing. Welcome guys to India's finest workplaces.
Thank you.
So I want to begin by asking, you've joined DBS and we have been working here for a year now. How is the vibe of the place since we're sitting in a corner which is called Vibe?
It's excellent. I think it is one of the most coolest workplaces I've worked on, and I think you all guys already gone through on our floors and can see that there are a lot of things which are different from usually the IT companies. You will not see any cabins and you can easily meet your leaders, and there are so many ideas and innovations are going around. So me and Ranga pretty much belong to the same team, and we always had a chance to share our ideas, to gone through it.
So I want you guys to really talk about this initiative that is called Culture Heroes, and of course you've been tagged as an innovator and you've been tagged as a gladiator for it. So what is the whole initiative about, and what did you really innovate and come up with that made you win that tag?
So definitely, it's like always said that time is the most precious thing. So it's coming to the part of the software development, always that times take a critical role always. Right. It's like we shouldn't lose some time which is on unnecessary activities. That's where the key focus area. So I've just focused on regular things what a typical software developer does. So instead of repeated tasks they want to do, I have reduced the time by eliminating the repeated tasks. It's like they can save a lot of time in terms of rebuilding and redeploying the code for that unit testing and integration testing.
Made it more efficient.
It's like it's a so quick solution. So whenever any change or anything that changes, you don't need to wait for the build and restart. And that's the best part.
And what about you? How many battles did you win to be the gladiator?
When I say about the gladiator and the competition, it was more focused about that how you can learn, act and own your solutions. It's not only about the project work which you are getting day-to-day life, but also the activities and the innovations and the solution which are going around.
So it helped you push your boundaries. Basically.
Definitely, it's not only actually it's not the only technology you are working on. It also helps to learn the newer technologies, and you get a chance to work with different teams, which help us to learn and know new designs.
Well, on that note, thank you so much guys for joining us, and looking at your enthusiasm, it makes me feel to push my boundaries and go beyond the usual that I do.
Great,
anyways, wishing you many more milestones in the organization.
Thank you very much.
A supportive work environment helping its employees to push the envelope. DBS truly lives up to its ethos of making banking a joyful experience. With that, it's a wrap on this episode. Next week, we bring you another organization that is defining workplaces of the future. Thank you and goodbye.
Partnered by Times Influence.